So I had been in prison for about 1 week, and it was 1:15 in the morning, and my bunkie starts shaking my mattress. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, are you deaf? Like, no, I'm not deaf. What are you doing? He's like, there's a fire drill. Get up, go downstairs. Indeed, I jumped down from my bunk. I look down the hallway to the left and right, and I see these guards smiling and laughing, using a baseball bat to bang a garbage can. Indeed, there was a fire drill, one of like 13 that I endured during the 13 months that I served time in federal prison. So we're all downstairs outside. They're completing the fire drill, and some guys are apoplectic because they got woken up by the fire alarm. Other guys like don't care. They're like watching TV. They go right downstairs. And while I'm standing there alone, it sort of hit me. And here's what hit me. Before I tell you, thank you to all of you for coming to the White Collar Advice channel. We're inching towards 20,000 subscribers. I'm here because of you. I'm grateful if you find value. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me get back to the story now. Let me tell you what hit me while I'm standing outside the fire alarm. What am I doing here? Now, I'd already pled guilty. I'd been sentenced. Here I am a week into my federal prison term, still trying to assess how the hell I ended up in federal prison. Wasn't me, it was my client. I didn't have bad intentions. And I learned in federal prison I wasn't alone. It took me months before I introspected. Some people, however, are different from me. I'm filming this live video at 3 o'clock. I'm going to pick up my daughter in like 15 minutes. It's her birthday. We're going to go celebrate. Wanted to film this random live video because a client of ours was just sentenced, and I want to memorialize it. I want to share it. I want to teach you what he did so you can all benefit. One take, live. Here we go. Now, if you're a student at USC who's eventually going to watch this, or BYU or other schools that are required to read my books and watch my videos, this will help you. If you're a defendant traversing the criminal justice system, you want to mitigate, take action, change the narrative, don't outsource everything to your lawyers, this video will help you. Now, what do I talk about in all of our resources? Hold on, shameless plug for the book, people. You can get this book, Lessons from Prison, for free. In chapter 2, what do I call it? The fraud triangle. Pressure, rationalization, and opportunity. You can't end up on the wrong side of prison boundaries unless you see some criminal opportunities. We all face pressure. Some people rationalize the pressure. The reason I went to prison, I seized an opportunity. That's why all of you who are law-abiding and don't get into trouble, you're better than me. You face the same pressure. You may rationalize it, but you don't seize a criminal opportunity. So many good people in our community do, including a lawyer who was just sentenced, who called 9 months ago. Now, the first phone call was fundamentally different than a lot of the calls we have with people in our community. A number of the initial calls are, I don't really understand what I did. I don't understand what the government's version of events. I signed a plea agreement I don't agree with. The restitution number is incorrect. I kind of think I'm getting a bad deal here. They don't fully understand many things that are true, in part because so many defendants have never become immersed in a government investigation before. They don't know how to respond. They don't know what to do. I sure didn't. It didn't hit me till I was in prison. For a fire drill at 1:15 in the morning after I'd been in for a week, I began to ask these questions. How the hell did I end up here? In this case, this lawyer called to say, I've done the introspection. I've read your book. I know the criminal opportunities that I seized. I'm well aware of the fraud triangle. I want you to help me because I've made bad decisions, and I do not want to double down and do stupid things like you did, which is like lying to the FBI and making matters worse. I did bad things. I want to do better. Will you help me? But I am prepared, he said on this first call, to endure everything that comes my way. Prison, reputational fallout, losing my law license. I made bad decisions and I blame nobody but myself. And when you have someone open up that way, by owning it, by introspecting, by not excusing, by recognizing all of the collateral consequences, that's when you have something. That's when you can create some magic, people, which is why he called me about 12 minutes ago and I'm doing this live video. Now, the story. Our client, the lawyer, worked for a mid-sized law firm, but he's like, let me be clear. They sent me all the clients. This is, by the way, the business students at USC who have to watch this. If you go work for a big accounting firm and you don't have to hustle, you go to a big firm, they give you the clients. It's easier. So he's like, I worked at a mid-sized accounting firm a mid-sized law firm where they gave me like clients. I never really had to prospect and I made good money, but I wanted to branch out and go on my own. And I didn't fully consider all of the marketing that would go into growing a small law firm. And after I started marketing, I struggled a bit. I wasn't making as much money. And then I formed a relationship with someone who turned out to make up like 60% of my book of business, of my clientele, not just 60%. The other clients, he referred to me as well. Indeed, there's this great line in federal prison that some guy, Richard, said to me, who was serving 15 years for bank fraud. He said, there's nothing your biggest client won't do to you, or for you. Wow, that's very, very powerful. So this person's like, I have one new client making up 60% of my business, and we become very close friends, and I'm making a lot of money. I'm doing his business litigation. He's suing people. He's suing people. He's getting sued. It's a nightmare, and I'm making a lot of money, and I'm helping him. We're winning a lot of these cases. But he said after about a year and a half of working together, he ran into some struggles. Namely, his client, this developer, was going through a terrible divorce, and it was very expensive. And he was depressed, and he said his behavior was changing, and he wasn't returning phone calls, and he was canceling meetings. He was getting sloppy at work. He wasn't following through on these commitments because this divorce was taking everything out of him. And while this divorce was taking everything out of him, something bad happened. He stopped paying his bills. And here's the first pressure, the first prong of the fraud triangle, right? My client, the lawyer, is working every single month. He's used to getting paid. He continues to do this work. Forgive me, I'm blowing up here with text messages. This is totally random. Let me put this on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry. He's continuing to do the work, but now he's not getting paid. Now, for the first few months, he begins to rationalize, hey, this is okay. This is a good client. He's a friend. He's going through a divorce. He's endured a lot. It's part and parcel to the process. Let me support him as a friend and continue to do the work. Eventually, I will get paid. But here's the problem. These pressures we face, because so much of his business came from this one client and he wasn't prospecting elsewhere, his income was now drying up because his client's not paying him. That is a problem. Well, after like 6 or 7 months, he does what so many of you might do. You begin to rationalize this unfairness. Yeah, he's a friend. I'm willing to look the other way for a while for the bill, but I'm still doing the work, and I have a mortgage and student loans to pay. This doesn't really seem right. He's kind of leveraging off of our friendship not to pay me. I know he has money because he's still doing other deals, and he's still been in a beautiful home. I know he has some cash. Why is he choosing not to pay me? He's beginning to exploit our friendship. He's beginning to take advantage of me and put me last. Yet he expects me to continue to work for him under the guise of we are very close friends. This is something that I should do. Damn it. Why am I beholden to this one client? I wish I had more clients. To all of you accounting students or law students out there, don't let one person make up your book of business. I'm begging you. I became beholden to my client, Keith, the hedge fund manager, because he made up for a while a good portion of our business. There's nothing your best client won't do for you or to you. Now it's a month. His biggest client, a year, his biggest client still hasn't paid the bills, still going through this very expensive divorce. And during this time, his client comes into a settlement from a lawsuit. It's like $1 million. And the $1 million goes into the trust fund, which is not uncommon. And what does my client, the lawyer, think, who just got sentenced? He's like, this is fantastic. Fantastic. Got the $1 million in. I haven't been paid for a year. I'm owed about $270. I know my client's going to do the right thing and say, give me the $270. I'll disperse the rest to him. I've done the work for a year. I was a very good friend. I'm going to get rewarded. Pay my bills. This is fantastic. And the friend want to pay the bill, because when he proposed to him that the balance that he should pay him out of these proceeds, the friend said, wait a second, keep the money there. Don't spend a damn penny. Keep it there. Now, our client, the lawyer, speculated, didn't get proof, speculated he wanted the money to remain in this trust fund because this guy going through divorce didn't want to disclose it as part of the divorce proceedings that this $1 million came in. So he's like, great, I'm complicit in hiding this guy's $1 million. He ain't paying me. This is a lose-lose. Now he's really feeling the pressure. He feels as if he's a part of something. He's not even getting rewarded for it. So the client says, do not take any of that money and do not pay yourself. I've been loyal to you. I've paid you. I've sent you a lot of business. I never question the bill. You ever see me question a bill? You bill me, I pay it. I'm going through a very tough time. Do not spend a dime of that money. Keep it in the trust fund. I will let you know. I still expect you to do work for me. And for like another 6 months, he's like, okay. And he continues to work for him, but the resentment builds. The resentment festers when you work and you're not getting paid. And he begins to see him spending money elsewhere and continuing to do deals, and the work is piling up and nothing's getting paid, and he's not bringing in other clients. So I think what he did by virtue of the thumbnail that I created in about took me 17 seconds to create that thumbnail because I have to pick up my daughter at 6 minutes. He did what I think he did. He seized a criminal opportunity. Everyone watching, you can't go to jail or prison unless you seize an opportunity. He seized an opportunity. He dipped into the trust fund, and he took the legal fees that he was owed, $268-ish. The client said, don't touch the money. It's my money. Don't touch it. He did. He took the money after about a year and a half of continuing to work for free and not getting paid. He dipped into it. He stole it. And then something interesting happened after he stole it. The guilt, the shame, the pain of fearing that he would get caught. It was Nietzsche who wrote, before I think he dropped dead on the streets of Germany in the 1800s, it's not the value of something, It's what it costs you. Or the value of something isn't what you attain with it, it's what it costs you. He had attained this money. He took money from the trust fund. He didn't initially even disclose it to his client, who didn't know that it was missing. What had it begun to cost our client, the lawyer? His health, his sanity, fear that he was going to get caught. I'll put some of the money back. I just need some to live. I'll put it back eventually. He'll never know. Let me get some new business in and put it there. You begin to double down on bad decisions. He feared that he would get caught. It devastated him. It was destroying him. He couldn't function. And you know what the only way out was? Something that I don't see a whole lot of. He turned himself into the U.S. attorney. And he would tell you it was actually a very selfish move. He knew he was going to get caught. He knew eventually he was going to face a sentencing hearing. He knew he dipped into the trust fund and stole from his client, breaching all of the ethics and fiduciary responsibility that he had. And he knew by turning himself in, it would alleviate some of the guilt. But he also knew, because he said he had been watching our work for a while, it could help him lead. Can help him get the shortest federal prison sentence. So when he called, he said, I've done the introspection. I turned myself in against my lawyer's wishes. He thought I was insane. He can't believe that I turned myself in. He maintains that it could have been handled civilly. It was a business dispute, but we all know that I stole and took money from my client that I was not authorized to take. There are consequences. The guilt was killing me. I wanted to endure it with dignity and with a plan. I want to help ensure you can help me get the shortest possible prison sentence. On a loss of like 270 or 280, the guidelines are maybe 18 months to 24 months. Unfortunately, he had spent some of that money. He only paid some of it back, but he did a beautiful job over the last 9 months of being very clear to the court. I stole money. I'm held to a higher standard. I know that I'm going to lose my law license. I know that I've embarrassed myself. I know that I've destroyed my career. And I know there should be consequences for what I've done because I'm a lawyer and I'm held to a higher standard. He went so far into the mitigation, so far owning it that I hope he comes on a YouTube channel here soon. He just got sentenced. I hope everyone who's going through this wretched system can learn from what he's done. No excusing or blaming. Even if you say it was selfish that he turned himself in because he knew that he got caught, how many people truly do that and own it and talk about it? So he went to a probation off interview and he articulated through his own words. He said them, hello. Then he gave them a very compelling narrative about his life and his background, putting himself through law school, leaving a mid-sized firm to start his own business, becoming beholden to one client. And then he said, if you take one thing, Mr. Probation Officer, away from this interview, let it be this: I knew better. I should be held accountable, and everything that comes my way, I will handle with dignity and I will manage it appropriately. And I deserve everything that's coming because I knew better. That led to a very positive recommendation from the probation officer, not 18 to 24 months, but a year and a day, inches towards sentencing. He does some volunteer work very transparently through our organization, but he documented it. He did it. He took a job that was beneath his skill set. This guy was a lawyer. I won't tell you exactly what he did, but he did a job that was beneath his skill set. Why do you do a job that's beneath your skill set between pleading guilty and working? Because it gives you an opportunity to build a new record as a law-abiding citizen, paying taxes. Then we got some character reference letters, not from his parents who loved them, both lawyers, not from his friends who were going to say, he's a great guy, don't send him to prison, but from new clients in this business that he was developing who articulated that he was honest, disclosed his crime, that he was a man of integrity. He did everything that he said he was going to do. His letters to the judge were all from people that he had worked with, besides walking himself into the U.S. Attorney's office and sentencing. Those letters were very impactful because it spoke to his character and being transparent about his crime. So when he went to a sentencing hearing today and the probation officer asked for a year and a day and the government asked for a year and a day, the judge gave him 5 years of federal probation, in part because the early acceptance of responsibility of the government not having to put additional resources to the test for identifying with the victim who chose not to speak at the sentencing hearing or even write a letter, in part because I think he knows that he was somewhat culpable and complicit in what happened. But our client never blamed him. Even though he owed me money, it was my fault. Even though he said he was going to pay me and he didn't, it's my fault. That's what it takes, putting the victim first. And as hard as it might have been to put that victim first based on what he felt that victim put him through, he did it. That comes back to understanding the stakeholders. Damn, I'm going to be late to get my daughter. I got to go in like 3 minutes. Understand the stakeholders. It's not about you. It's about the victim. It was hard for him to write and probably say some of those things, but he did. He felt terrible for taking that money that wasn't his. He felt terrible that his friend and former client who was going through a divorce, this led to more aggravation and stress. And now this guy's a victim. His victim, he's going to have to pay him back. Restitution, everything that comes for the next 5 and 20 years until the financial litigation unit lets him go. And that doesn't happen until he's paid all the money back. I want to film this video because whether our client got a year and a day today in prison or 5 years of supervised release, he did the work. There's no cliches, there's no tips, there's no tricks. It's just work. If you saw what he memorialized between pleading guilty in a sentencing hearing today and everything in between, you'd say, damn, this guy did the work. Yeah, he didn't want to go to prison. I use this analogy, if the analogy is even the right word, of everyone that's so enamored about marathons. You celebrate the start, you celebrate the ending. You know what the real work is? It's the freaking 26 miles you run in between. The work was him walking in. You celebrate the success today. It was everything he did over the last 9 months. So as I wrap this up, I will ask you, what are you doing to change the narrative? You agree with your plea agreement? No. You agree with your restitution? No. Do you understand what you did? Most of you do not. Do you understand the pressures you faced, how you rationalized it, the opportunities you seized? Are you prepared to articulate this to a probation officer and a judge in a way that doesn't reek of an excuse or blame, focusing on yourself? You see that YouTube video short I filmed 2 days ago that kind of went viral, 12 or 13,000 views, about a doctor at sentencing who told the judge, I gave $2 million back and my wife is ill, don't send me to prison. And the judge is like, are you going to guilt me and not sending you to federal prison? You broke the law. You're a doctor. You knew better. It's always about the victim. It's not about you. Think, document, memorialize. And then the marathon, the 26 miles, ends today. I didn't go to prison, but he still got a long road ahead. But it's easier because he didn't go to prison. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day. My beautiful baby girl is turning 9. I'm going to go pick her up and we're going to go golf. And I'm so grateful for all of you that you continue to return to this channel. I'm so happy for our client. I'm so happy that he did the work. I'm so happy that he's not going to stand for count in federal prison and not have to endure a damn fire alarm at 1:15 in the morning. I'm so grateful to help people. I can't believe I have this life 14 years later. I'm still doing it. I love it. I'm so grateful to help him. I'm so grateful to have all of you. It made my day. I'm so happy. I got chills all over my body. As corny and weird as that sounds, he made my freaking day. I'm so happy. Goodbye.